everybody, I'm Eric the Counselor.
And I'm Des Perry.
This is a lifestyle show
About improving your mental health.
You ready?
Let's experience mental health.
All right, hey, what's up, everybody? I am Eric the Counselor, and welcome to today's edition of Experience Mental Health, the podcast. We have a great show for you lined up. What's up, brother?
Oh, okay, all right, just throw me right up in there. It's your player partner, Des Perry. Look, I just feel like, I don't know where that name came from, but I don't know. I felt like I needed something special to introduce myself in to let people know what is a player partner. I heard somebody else say that before.
Oh my God, let's not try to find a definition to that right now. All right. So listen up, guys. You are tuned into another episode. We want to say we really appreciate all the people who are subscribed to our YouTube channel. We appreciate all the people who are in the text club. We want to say what's up to all of our new listeners through the Great Convo Media platform. We're really glad to be a part of that, where you can hear our show and many other shows that are in the culture. So be sure to check out the shows on Great Convo Media.
For sure. Big shout out to our subscribers on YouTube as well. We just hit our first 100 subscribers. So, anybody that is watching us on YouTube right now, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and share it with your people, and let's run them subscriptions up. Yeah.
Don't run them numbers up for us. What you been up to today, Des?
Man, you know what? Not too much. It's just been one of those... I had a very stressful weekend. Now I want to say stressful. It's just I was working a lot. I had a couple of different projects I was working on, and that kind of had me overwhelmed at one particular point. And now I'm just trying to come down from that and just be like, all right, I don't have to work too much. I'm really just trying to wind my whole year down now. I don't want to take on too many major projects because it's the end of the year. Nobody really want to be working like that. Come on now. I'm trying to prepare for 2021. I'm trying to go ahead and prepare for 2021 because, we already seen what 2020 did to us.
It's been a good year for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, 2020 has been a great year. I'm moving. I'm in my current house now. We're going to be moving this weekend. So you can only imagine the stress. Built a house during a pandemic.
Branded the Black House. The
Black House. During the pandemic. So I'd have to say that this year has been good to me, and more so than it has been negative. I have had some issues, difficulty. Yeah. This is breast cancer awareness or cancer awareness month. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with breast cancer earlier in the year. So she's going through that. I think she's coming out of it.
That's awesome.
So I mean, for the most part, I think it's been okay. It's been a decent year, man. So
yeah,
man. Like you, I'm ready to wind up the year, see what the new year has to come.
Man, hopefully it's a whole lot better than what we've been in, man. Oh gosh,
up, man. We going up.
We going up. I believe it. I don't put it out there in the universe. Yeah, we going up. You know what I'm saying?
We are going up. So man, let's we got a great guest lined up for us today.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the guests, and to be honest, this is like a really good friend of mine, someone that I've been knowing for years, and then recently someone that I've been working with a lot on different type of projects and production type things lately. But this is a good friend of mine. Everybody, welcome Alicia Bailey.
Whole government.
When you like
yeah, first name, last name,
the whole name.
Come on now.
Can I say something? Can I put Alicia on the spot for a second, job?
Go ahead. Bust
so
out.
we were supposed to do this show a couple weeks ago, right? A couple times, but she didn't want to do it because her eyebrows weren't right. So let's look at her eyebrows. Everybody to see how good her eyebrows look today.
And let's see them eyebrows.
Okay.
Ooh, they done today.
They crispy. They crispy.
This is what we've been waiting on.
So glad to have you.
Yes.
Yeah, really glad to have you today. And Alicia is a part. She's a part of the EMH team. She helps us with our production, and so.
Oh yeah, she was definitely a part of the.
She's been working with me, but you should have said she's working with us and helping us.
Well, I mean, I do so much more than just the EMH podcast and in the business. We do it a lot more things. So that's why I guess that's what I was kind of getting to. But Yes, we are excited to have you here on the show today and to get into this more serious conversation about abuse, like
Trauma.
trauma and domestic abuse and things like that nature. Actually, the reason why I even invited Alicia on this show is that she even shared, like, okay, I told y'all that I met her like years ago. This is in like undergrad days at TSU, right? We was in mass communication together, right? I don't even know what class was that we were in.
I think it was like intro to mass comm or something. I don't know.
Right. I think something like that. Shout out to Dr. Jackson. I do
It was
remember
Dr. Jackson. That's who it was.
teacher, the professor for that class. But she shared a story. This is before I even like really even got to like know her, right? But she shared a story. Well, I don't know how we got on the topic, but she shared the story about how her grandmother was shot, at a family function. And it was just like, oh wow, and she didn't really get into details about it, but I don't know. I honestly don't know how or why that story just kind of always stuck with me over all these years. And when we kind of grew our friendship, and we started this, me and you, Eric, started this Experience Mental Health podcast. I just was just like, you remember that story you told in class? And she told it to me again, and I would love for her to share that story with our audience today. So, yes. Yeah.
So, a little backstory on the story in class. I think it was like bring an object or something that really means the most to you, or something like that. I don't remember, but it was this necklace. So I brought the necklace and the ring, and these are, so my granddad, this was the last gift my granddad gave me, was the necklace, and the last Christmas gift for my granny was this ring. And so, yes, when they went through their divorce or breaking up and it turned sour, sort of say, and it became a whole mental thing. Like, my granddad actually ended up, we were at a family function on the 4th of July and we were all there, and he actually shot my grandma at the park in front of people and then shot himself. And so this was my way of, like, my family was torn apart, and I saw a side of my granddad that I had never even thought was capable. So the ring and the necklace together, I've been wearing it for like over 12 years every day. This is my way of keeping them together. So for me, this is how I keep my grandparents with me.
Gotcha. Before we really just dive into the story, and then let's just hear real quickly about the relationship that you had with your grandmother. How important that relationship was.
That was my heart. That was my babe. That was my sexy face. Anything you could think of. We had all. I called her sexy face. I don't know why. That was my lady. But my grandmother and I had the craziest relationship from birth that I'm told. So it's like when I was born, we just had this instant connection. My mom, everybody says like I was her, like that was my person. Like I had a person before I even knew what having a person was. And yeah, so I took my first steps with my granny, like a lot of stuff. It was my grandma, and it was just me and her. And so we were so close. Like she had 6 grandkids, and I'm the only grandchild that actually called her mom. Mm-hmm. So that was my mama. Even though my mom is great, amazing, love her to death. She's my mom. But my grandma, it was just like, it was the most unexplainable relationship. Even my dad has said in recent years, was like, the bond you had with your grandparents was wild. Like it just was crazy how close. Like I not gave up, but if it was like something going on and it was the weekend and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go to my grandma's house. Just drop me off.
I'd rather go over there than to go hang out.
Take me home to my grandma's house. So it was days after school where I remember crying because I got out of school and I wanted to go just drive past her house. I'm like, Mom, can you please just ride us past her house? Because I know she's sitting on the porch. I know she's on the porch or she's in her garden. And it was literally days where we would just ride by so we could wave at her. Oh, wow. And we never got out of the car. Nothing. It was just, I needed to see her. So it was crazy. Yeah. But that was a crazy bond. And
yeah, it's beautiful to have that type of. Oh, I'm sorry, Ed, go ahead.
No, I'm just ready to I want to hear the story. It is beautiful to have that type of relationship. It is. And it just makes it even more sad.
Yes, it was mentally crazy. So they ended up going through this breakup, and of course, you know, people choose sides. So there were
Can you
sides.
take us to the day?
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
The
so
beginning
it
of
was
the
the
day.
day.
Am I delayed? Yeah, can you take us to that day and like set the scene for us and like
Okay,
how did
so
all
this
this
is freaky, and I
happen?
have never actually really told anybody this, but the night before, I had this crazy dream, and we were actually at a festival or something like that, and it was Johnny Taylor and Aretha Franklin on stage, and they in the dream they were my grandparents or something like that. They were these amazing figures to me in my dream, and there was a shooting at this event. And it was just so crazy. And I just woke up with the mindset of Johnny Taylor and Aretha Franklin, my grandparents in my dream. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 16. Why?
Right.
I have an old soul. And then I never thought anything else about it. And so the day, it's the 4th of July, this is the day we have our family reunion every year. This has been something that was predated before I was even born. This is a tradition. And so we were dressed, and my mom was like, hey, I don't think mama coming to the park, so we're gonna stop by and see her before we go to the park. Cool, long as I can see her, we good. I get over there, and she's like, yeah, I don't think I'm coming. And I'm like, yeah, I think you should come. I don't think it's gonna be any issues. And she's like, no, I think it'd be best if I don't come. And I'm like, no, come on, please come. Like, this is a tradition. It won't be the same without you out there. Like, just come for a little while. Like, it's just, this is our thing. This is a family thing. And so I was like, yeah. And then, so she ended up coming. And to this day, I really feel, I used to feel terrible because I felt like I was the person that brought her to the park that day, because I did stress it and make a really big deal about it. So we're at the park, and, you know, my granddad was already there. So when I got there, talked to him or whatever, did my normal, all in his face. And then my grandma came, and you could instantly feel it, the tension in the park, in the area that we were in. And like, people are like saying things, little things, you could just tell it was tension. They walked past each other. I'm not sure what was said, but it was more so, she responded and said, if I was low down, I would have brought the police.
Okay.
So they already separated at this point,
They're
right?
separated. There's a restraining order because there's this mental thing. He's being outside the house. It's like stalker. It's like he's losing it at this point. But nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that this isn't healthy, that he's doing these things. Yeah. It's just instantly, oh, he's crazy. He's this because they broke up and blah, blah, blah.
So y'all saw some signs that something.
There were signs, yes. And they just were, in my opinion, they were ignored.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they said that. And then, so it was this whole thing of, hey, maybe he should leave. You know, this is technically your family, blah, 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 even though he's been here over 40 years in this family. This is his family. But yeah, it was that. So he leaves. And I think mentally everybody's in the mindset of, make sure she stays here for a little while longer, just to make sure he's gone. And I'm being my normal self, taking pictures, you know, all in her, like literally probably on her heels, walking behind her, holding her hand, probably hugged up with her, arm in arm. And then she's finally like, hey, I'm about to leave. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna walk you to your car. So we're walking to the car. I heard someone call my name. I turn around to like see who's calling me. And by the time I turn back around, she's like further away. So she kept walking. And at this time, I was like, I'll just call her and talk to her until she gets to the car. Called her a couple times. She didn't answer. And so also, it's so much commotion going on in the park. It's so much going on that I got distracted. So I called her a couple times. I'm like, okay, she'll call me when she gets in the car or something like that. And then I started talking to one of a cousin or something. And then we heard the fireworks, which what we thought were fireworks at the time, because it's the 4th of July. So you're really not sure. And it's like, it sounds loud and it's just loud. So what we found out is that it was actually gunshots. And we just saw moments later, ambulance, fire trucks, police cars, everything just flying into the park. And it's like, what happened? And I'm nosy, and I'm an aspiring news reporter at the time. So it's like, oh, I'm first on the scene. Let me get down here to see what's going on. And so I'm walking with my cousin, and then like visually can see my granny's car still sitting there, and then like instantly take off running. And we get down there. By the time we get down there, it's like I don't even really remember the time frame, but it feels like it was minutes. By the time I made it to the other side of the park, it was already taped off. Police were right there, and I lock eyes with my granny, who's laying on the ground like she's been shot, and I can see her breath. I can see her like breathing, and we're locking eyes and we're looking dead at each other. And police, I'm trying to push past police and get past people to I just want to get to her. I don't even, in my head, I hadn't even thought about where he was, what happened, none of this. I'm trying to get to her. And then that's when we hear, oh, he shot her and he shot himself. And now I'm like, wait, where is he? What's going on? Like, and then now he's on the side of a tree. He shot himself in the head. He shot her, and he shot her several times. It was in the wrist, in the jaw, and one in her stomach, which actually the bullet from her stomach, I don't know the correct term. It traveled, let's say that. It traveled and it went through her heart. So it was like all of this stuff is happening at one time, and we're just processing. I'm pretty sure I passed out several times because there's very blank moments in between me seeing her laying on the ground and me getting in a car going to the hospital.
Right.
So you saw your grandmother.
I saw her laying
Y'all made eye contact after she had been shot.
Laying on the ground, like in movies when people are like gasping for breath and like blood is coming out of this side of her mouth, and you can just see she had on a white shirt. It was soaked. It was just, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just wild to just, and I'm a movie person, so I love TV, love movies, and it's like, this is something straight out of a movie.
Right.
I cannot believe.
And you're 16 when this happens, right?
I'm 16. I am 16 at this time. Yeah. And so it's like, what is when did he, in my head, when did he get a gun? Like, wait, I didn't even know he was capable of hurting a fly.
Yeah.
This person,
to see all this stuff happening. So you see,
this is not the person I knew. Like, I would have never thought he would have harmed anyone. Like, it was just wild in my point of view.
Right.
But even as a child, I was very,
So my question is, how did that make you feel? Like in that, so 16 years old, how did that affect you? At an early age, like to see that and to see something like that happen to you.
Honestly, I am a pick up and take your feelings and move forward person. Like, in the moment, I really didn't acknowledge my personal feelings. It was all about, I need to make sure she's straight. Like, how can, like, give me all information. And I became totally obsessed with anything the doctor said. Like, I could read her charts back to you off the top of my brain. I could tell
still
you
alive after the
she did not die. So actually she died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. She was revived.
Wow.
And so she was revived and she went into immediate surgery. So no, she did not die from the gunshots, but she did. We ended up learning that she suffered from anoxic brain injury, which is when she was shot and she died, she lost oxygen to her brain for, it was about 3 minutes. And so
the gunshots didn't kill her.
The gunshots didn't kill her. She was a soldier. She was a G. So yeah.
So I want to ask you a question. Like in counseling, we focus on like the here and now, like telling this story, like right here and right now. How do you feel like right now? What emotions are evoked telling us this story?
I don't know. I kind of feel empowered. Like, this is my story. This is my truth. I've lived this. I've grown from this. This has been the leading motivating factor in a lot of things I do, because since that day, I've had the mindset of life is short. You never know what can happen. Anything can happen at any time. So I'm always in the moment, in the day, and like I'm living in that moment. I don't try to plan too far anymore. Like I'm in the moment. Yeah. And right now I feel like it's a in the moment thing too, because like you said, this has come up to be on this show a couple times, and honestly, I was really afraid But when the opportunity presents itself a couple of times, I'm thinking to myself, hey, maybe this is some type of healing obstacle. Maybe something is going to come after this that you needed to get through. And then something's pushing me towards something. I'm not sure what breakthrough or revelation is going to come. But I do feel really inspired to tell the story because it's something I have been wanting to tell for a while. I've been trying to figure out how to tell because I do write stories and scripts and stuff. So I've been wanting to tell this story and reach out to other people because I know firsthand how it feels to be not the victim of someone who has been a part of domestic violence, but, you know, to be a part of a family who understands that feeling.
Right, right. So hopefully that you telling your story is helping somebody else, you know.
Yeah, to prevail, like take it and not take that emotion and just be sullied in it. Like don't let it fuel you to be down. Like, I literally wake up every day and I'm like, hey, this is for you. I'm doing this. I'm living for all of us. Like this is because me and my grandparents, we discussed my dreams, my aspirations, me going off and being this great person in the entertainment production world. So when I'm doing things, it's always like, hey, I'm sticking to our plan. Like I'm still doing it. And I'm doing this for us.
You mentioned that you know, that you were the type of person that just, you know, picks things up and you moving forward and you're trying to just make sure that she's okay. But tell us, like, what are some things over the years that you have done to, I guess, cope with the situation of what happened to your grandmother?
And grandfather.
And grandfather, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you witnessed a double murder at 16, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. And
that's
it was
the first 48 stuff.
Come on, we was in Memphis. We were in Memphis.
It was in Memphis, right.
So now coping things that I do is more of self-care things. So I know music is something that was shared between my entire family. Music is our connection. We listen to music, we dance, we sing, we put on performances, full out shows.
This is true. I've seen it in action.
That's something that my family has always done. That was something that I grew up seeing my grandparents singing and dancing to music. So music is definitely my coping thing. And it's crazy because in college, my best friends, and they were my roommates, so they knew when I was in one of my grief moods, funks, because I would literally just put my headphones in and for hours, I would just sit in the bed and listen to music for hours, not move. I'm literally just sitting in the bed, just eyes closed, listening to music. And that's therapy for me. And in the recent years, I've started back reading and writing because I did lose a lot of that in the midst of trying to be in college, trying to graduate and make my granny proud because she's still alive at this point. It's been 4 years now and I'm in college and at TSU, which I really did not want to do. I did not want to leave, but we were just started to read more. I started officially, like probably in the last couple of years, actually been going to parks. At first, I would not go to a park. Couldn't go to a park. Even now, if I go to Memphis, I take the long way. If I have to pass that park, I'm going to go the extra mile to avoid seeing this park. So there's different ways. And even every time I went to Memphis, we ended up selling my granny's house some years ago. So when I go to Memphis, I go, and the person that owns the house, he knows me. He knows why I randomly show up at the house, and I'm sitting in front of the house. And I just sit in front of the house because her rose bush is still there. And so I'll just go and I'll look at the rose bush and I'll just stand out there. And so he knows the story, he knows, and it's not creepy or anything. So yeah, I've learned over the years to just, anything that I find that makes me happy, I'm going to
tap into that.
It's just, I'm going to hold on to that. And this is my happy space. Like wine recently in the last 3 or 4 years has become my happy space.
Oh, goodness.
I love trying new wines and doing new things, or even me moving to Florida. I moved to Florida to get my master's, And that was strategically, it was more of that was something me and my grandma talked about. Like, when she retired, we're going to move to Florida and, live in Florida. And I had to come back. When I decided to move back to Tennessee, I went to her grave and I was like, yeah, that wasn't the right move. I don't think we would have liked that. I didn't like Florida.
You don't like Florida?
No.
Did you move to Tampa? You went to Full Sail, right?
I was in Orlando.
Oh, Orlando. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
So, no, I didn't. It wasn't. So I'm a natural girl.
Oh, yeah, that hair was just not working.
Was working, and it wasn't working out there.
Holding on to nothing.
Yeah. Alicia, did you go to, or anybody in your family, because when you experience, that's clearly trauma, right? It's traumatic.
Yeah.
And, I've worked with people with stories, and what happens is we develop post-traumatic stress disorder. And you're even telling me some of the symptoms of that,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you went to, or anybody in your family got any professional counseling or any help with trying to process and navigate through that time.
I know I personally did it because I remember, so keep in mind, this is a family event. So I'm not the youngest person at this event. Mm-hmm. I had little cousins that were like 8 and 7 at the time who were there and saw this. So they went to therapy. Mm-hmm. I think they went to a few sessions, and I kind of questioned them like, hey, what did they say at the session? And in my opinion, who they went to tried to like mentally like tell them they didn't really see what they saw, or try to like make it, try to sugarcoat it basically. And I didn't like that. And I was like, I'm not gonna go to someone who is going to try to change what I know I saw.
Right. At this point. You just made the assumption that all therapists are going to kind of.
I didn't at the time, because honestly, like I said, I wasn't even worried about my own feelings. And somebody probably should have said, hey, you need to go and talk. But I became so involved in my grandma's medical care, and I pushed my feelings aside. It was all about, how can we make her healthy? How can we make her better? It was countless nights I'm on the internet researching anoxic brain injury, reading all these miracle stories of people waking up and, living lives. And because she was young at the time, she was only 48 when this happened. Mm. So yeah, I have a really young family too.
Grandma, okay now.
Right, you were 16 and she was 48.
Don't do the math.
Goodness. God, I mean, that is just, it's just heart-wrenching. And as a counselor, I hear a lot of stories like this, and it does affect me. I can only imagine being at that park that day.
Right.
And hearing those.
That don't even have to be my grandmother to feel some type of way. I could just be, I might not even be in y'all's family, but just in the park and see something like that.
And that's how it actually happened. Some other kids saw it, who I actually have wanted to find in recent years, because it was kids who saw it and they went and told their parents. That's how the police were called. Wow. And PTSD and all that is like, it's real. And sometimes it's really scary when I'm driving and an ambulance or a fire truck comes shooting past me. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how I black out. It's like I see black, my heart is racing. I'm like, I feel like I'm teleporting in my mind back to that day. And I literally have to just sit there and breathe and calm myself down and say, hey, this is whatever year it is. I'm trying to remind myself, like, hey, you have to stick it. You have to pull yourself back together, because you're driving. You're in traffic.
Right. You don't want any other traffic.
I don't want to cause an accident or something, because sometimes it's happened, or really, really loud sounds. Like I can't stand, like something, like I was at a tire shop probably like 3 months ago, and the tire popped in the shop, and I was screaming.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, again, you're just telling me more symptoms. It sounds like a person who's been to war. I'm sure we can all relate to when soldiers go to war, the bangs, the gunshots, and seeing death on a constant basis. When they come home, they have flashbacks. And when they hear loud noises, they have things similar to what you just described. And so, I don't know. But today you seem to be taking care of yourself with the self-care. I still think it would be good to process all of that trauma, because trauma doesn't leave our body. It's actually in you. And if I were to do like a scan, we could see the trauma in your body. And so I don't know, Alicia, maybe it might be something for you to consider to talk to a counselor, to just go through the cycle of grief, and just process it. I don't know if you've had a chance to say goodbye to your grandparents, in a controlled, safe way. That's just one of the things I do with people who have experienced trauma that ended up in someone losing their life. I walk them through the stages of grief, help them, kind of process each stage from their own personal perspective. And then at the end, I give them an opportunity to kind of close the book on it, which when I say that, because I've been through trauma. I had a sister who passed away in a car accident 16 years ago now. So I can understand to the immediacy of death and trauma. And so saying goodbye is not like I don't care anymore, it's done, it's in the past. It's just really a way for you to accept what has happened, which sounds like you have, and accept the fact and the thought that although this person has left, I still have to live my life emotionally, physically, psychologically. I have to continue on. And so I don't know, maybe it might be good for you to process that.
Yeah.
I am definitely open to reevaluating my feelings because, like I said, I have not tapped into those feelings since that day.
Yeah.
I have been to the point where it's okay, I've accepted what happened. I understand what happened. The older I get, the more I start learning about mental health. And, I was like, okay, he wasn't a bad person in that moment. It was just mentally, he just had mental issues at the time that he didn't know how to work through himself. And I've grown enough to know that, but I do know I have not tapped into those feelings.
And they don't go away.
How I felt. I know sometimes certain things trigger it, and I can tell, okay, this is, and I know I did not properly grieve because once again, it was so much. And I just want to make sure, even when my grandma did pass, which was about 2013. What year are we?
That was 7 years ago.
Yeah, so she actually did not pass from the gunshot. She survived. We developed this entire communication system with her eyes. So she did suffer from a brain injury, so she never regained walking or speaking skills. But she was still aware.
After the
she
shooting?
lived for about 5 years.
She lived 5 years after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'm thinking that she passed relatively soon thereafter.
It was 5 years.
She shot 3 times, if I'm remembering the story, in the wrist, the face, and the stomach. And didn't die from that.
Nope.
But died from a brain
breast cancer.
Breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
Wow, your grandmother was a soldier.
So the brain injury didn't do anything either. Like I said, she wasn't able to physically speak or stand up and walk. But if I asked her, squeeze my hand, she could squeeze my hand.
Really?
If we had blink once for yes, two for no, hey, are you in pain? We figured out how to communicate with her. And that just became even more of a mind-blowing experience to even just go through that, because I had to learn. Anybody knows when I have a weak stomach, I am just terrible at stuff like medical stuff. Even though I love Grey's Anatomy, I love medical stuff, seeing that stuff in person is disgusting. So, but because this is my grandma, I love her beyond this world. I'm learning how to suction. I'm learning how to clean her trachea. I'm learning how to do all these things to care for her. And the doctors was like, oh, she's not going to last 6 months.
And she lived 5 years.
5 years. Pulled her own trachea out of her throat. Took it out.
Wow.
Yeah, we walked into her room one day and it was in her hand. And she was breathing on her own.
Really?
Wow.
It was just crazy miracles, crazy things. I don't want to say miracles, but she continued to defy medical.
You can call it a miracle.
Medical personnel. They were oh, she's never going to do this. Or she's going to have this trachea all her life. She's going to do this. She's going to do that. Mm-hmm. No. I used to give, if don't do stuff, to sneak and give her suckers and stuff.
You're not giving her snacks. Come on.
Yes. Wow. I used to ask her if you want it, and she blinked twice. Okay, I'm going to give you some of this sucker.
Wow.
Flavor on your tongue. I know because you had the feeding tube, so she never had water and stuff in her mouth again. I was like, I feel like you need some flavor on your tongue.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, we did a lot. We did defy a lot. Like we started finding out all these medical machines that could help like lift her out of bed easier. She had this special crazy weird chair, but it worked. So yeah, we went crazy and tried to find all things that we could, and like I said, ended up being breast cancer, which also I find amazing because breast cancer and domestic violence month is the same month. So I love October and I'm always celebrating. Normally I should have put on something, but I got a lot of clothes with like her name on it and breast cancer and domestic violence, or my grandma survived this, or I have a ton of paraphernalia. And then we also do donate to St. Jude in her honor every year. It's just about how we try to. So we do a lot to, honor her and keep her legacy alive because she was just the greatest. And
that's beautiful.
I'm never going to let her die out. So.
Yeah. You can't let her die out. So what would you tell somebody who might experience something like this? Because our listeners are always going through things, and that's why we wanted you to share your story so someone else could benefit from it. Like Dad said, what would you tell people who might be experiencing something traumatic in their lives?
I would say, seriously, talk to someone and acknowledge your feelings in the moment. Because I did not acknowledge my feelings in the morning. So in the moment, I'm that terrified to even go back and open that and feel that, because I do remember it being painful and I just remember shutting it off with occupying myself with other things. So I will say, talk to someone and allow yourself to grieve. Like, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to not want to get out of bed days after something like this. It's okay. Like, you don't always have to be so strong and keep moving forward. And that was just my mindset at the time. I was 16. I thought I could, handle it all. Yeah. But definitely, especially being,
16-year-olds, they think
I thought I was grown. Definitely thought I was grown. And I was just like, and I also felt like, in a sense, that my grandma kind of knew something bad would happen, because I think back on it all the time. Like, she would tell me stories and scenarios and life lessons and tell me little snippets about life. Oh, when you get here, this is going to happen. You're going to go through this. And it's like she was preparing me to live without her. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, that's a little bit scary. No. That I don't know how or if, or this could be just me. This is a part of me learning how to grieve and taking it this way. But I really feel like she prepared me to live life without her. And I definitely thank her for that, because it's times where I'm thinking about something, I'm like, why do I know that? Or why do I already know to react in this situation like that? And it's because she brought up countless scenarios when I was 16, 15 years old. And hey, you're going to go through this in life. Hey, when this happens, blah, blah, blah. Like, always make sure you got good credit. And I was like, okay.
She wasn't lying.
Get your credit right. But that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I'm very thankful, Alicia, that you were able to come on and share that story with us and for our listeners. And again, like I said, this story is going to be able to help and inspire somebody else who may be going through something similar, and thank you so much.
Yeah, I think when we go through things like this, it's always to help somebody else down the line. Mm-hmm. Like I said, when my sister died, I didn't find any meaning in it. It was just so traumatic and just so out of nowhere, right? Just in a whim, like, it's over. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to talk about it for a long time, but it wasn't until I started to talk about it, I actually started to heal. And then I started to realize that my story, just like yours, Alicia, could actually help somebody else. And so I was even more excited about, not necessarily excited, but more willing to share my story, because I knew that it could possibly help somebody else in the future. So thank you for sharing this story with the audience. I know you said you were nervous and scared, but you did a good job.
You did good. You did good. And your eyebrows look great as well. We appreciate
you looking good.
Your eyebrows.
Yeah. And so,
like, oh God, I think I'm gonna be crying.
Yeah,
So I
you
was
did
gonna
a
be
good job.
crying.
I probably would have cried. I don't know if I get to
I mean,
talking too
I
much
a
about it.
year or two wouldn't have hurt. It would have. We would have been good with a
I was
year.
like, I'm in here. Like before this, I was like, Mama, come on, just help me convey your story the way it should be conveyed. Like, give me the strength because it's like,
Yeah.
Can we do this? Can we? And maybe you've done this, but can you give us the pleasure of hearing you say goodbye to your family members?
now I feel like I'm finna cry.
On the spot.
Like, this on the spot. Like, if you could say something, maybe not a goodbye, or maybe a goodbye. Like, let's what would you say to grandma? It doesn't have to be a goodbye.
I feel like I had a goodbye moment with my granddad already. I was struggling in college, and I definitely was contemplating about going back to Memphis because it was just really it was a lot. And I had a dream one night, and we were on the porch, and he had on all white. He had a suitcase, and he told me,
Wow.
I love you. Everything is going to be okay. You're going to be great in life. Just continue to do you, and I'm sorry. And then he walked off the porch and walked down the street, and I woke up. And I took that as that was my peace from him. I feel like he figured out how to reach me from the beyond. And I have been totally okay with his death since then, like fine. But to my sexy face, my lady, my favorite person in the entire universe, it's been hard to be without you all these years, but I know you definitely are with me all the time because when I'm in my saddest and I know I'm at saddest, I randomly see a butterfly. And it's like the butterfly is trying to get my attention. It's very in my face butterfly. And that's always been my way of saying, I know you're here with me, even though you're not physically here with me. She's still just always in here somewhere. She's probably standing somewhere right here. I'm trying not to cry, so I'm trying to laugh to keep from crying. That saying is so true right now.
I know that's exactly what she's doing. That was another coping skill that I thought that you was gonna bring out when I asked you about it. But yeah, that's one thing. Even when I asked you about this particular story, we're laughing through it. Just
trying to laugh to keep from crying.
And I understand that we do that sometimes in these type of traumatic situations when we're trying to tell these stories and tell these different scenarios of things that have happened to us in the past. But I feel like sometimes it's good to still be vulnerable and still be open about it. And then feel those emotions. Let them out. Don't try to bottle them up. Because I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but I feel like there may be an explosion or something that happens later down.
That's it.
Does that happen?
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it hasn't already happened, those emotions will find a way to come out. Maybe you take out. It turns into. It could be like anger, outburst, depression. Any number of things could happen. But it is like Des is saying. It is good to just feel how you feel, and just get it out.
Yeah, feel in the moment. I'm trying to feel in the moment. I don't know if I want to feel what I felt back then, but I'm definitely more okay with, knowing that she's physically not here anymore because that funeral was definitely a whole nother story. And like I said, if I can, I always try to visit her grave. I'm always there talking to her. It's moments where I text my friends and be like, hey, I'm going to the cemetery. I'm probably going to be there for a few hours. I'm not feeling good today. I'm not feeling it. And I just literally go sit out there and just talk to her. So I know it's okay. And I know it's going to be okay. It's been okay. But it is still very hard to like get good news or, something super exciting happening in my life and I can't like run and tell her. So that's when I think it hits me more.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Well, yeah. Once again,
I think it's a good place to stop for today.
Yeah. Cool.
I feel like we could take off a little longer, but once again, thank you so much, Alicia, for sharing this story with us today.
Yeah, and again, we want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in and hearing Alicia's story. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Experience Mental Health. Is it the podcast? I always messed it up.
Experience Mental Health. I think it is the podcast on Facebook.
Yeah. Experience Mental Health, the podcast. hit us up, talk to us, chime in on the discussion, follow us. Be sure to subscribe. If you are this far into this episode, you probably need to go ahead and subscribe, because this is how it is every week. And we want to invite you to come back next week and check out another episode of Experience Mental Health, the podcast.
For sure. Most definitely. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I'm gonna put you on the spot, Eric. What's your last comment of the day? What's what you got for us?
My last comment of the day is this here. Everybody's going to experience trauma at some point in life. Most of us are going to experience something that's hard. But as Alicia said, talk to somebody about it when it happens. You don't have to go through this stuff alone, because there is somebody somewhere that's willing to sit and hear your story. So if you're going through something traumatic, find somebody, a professional counselor or someone close to you that you can trust, and just talk to them.
Yep.
Let them know how you feel.
All right, then. It's cool. That's a good place to stop right there. All right, then. Well, I was about to say.
All right, folks. I already know that's my cue. Whatever you do, make sure to make it a great day. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace. Hey guys, if you really enjoyed that episode, make sure that you like and comment, as well as subscribe to the Experience Mental Health podcast, because this is the #1 mental health podcast in the nation.